What if I told you that going broke isn't actually a math problem? It is a survival instinct. Most people never realize this, but your brain is actively working against your wealth. You can have a high-paying career, read all the right books, and still end up living paycheck to paycheck. It feels like you're running on a treadmill, working harder, but never actually getting ahead. There is one problem that connects almost everyone who struggles with money, and it has nothing to do with their salary. To understand why this happens, we have to look at the one thing you are actually fighting every single day: your own neurology. Think about what happens when you get a bonus or a tax refund. You tell yourself, this time will be different. You're going to save it. You're going to invest it. But then you buy a new phone or you book a trip. And just like that, the money's gone. You feel a brief moment of guilt, but the next month you do it all over again. The real reason is much simpler than a lack of willpower. It's a feature of your biology called the present bias. Present bias means your brain values a smaller reward right now much more than a larger reward in the future. From an evolutionary standpoint, this made perfect sense. Thousands of years ago, if you found food, you ate it. You did not save it for next week, because next week was not guaranteed. Your brain is wired for immediate survival, not long-term compound growth. But here's the surprising part. The modern world has weaponized this exact biological loophole. Every click, every advertisement, every one-click checkout button is designed to trigger your present bias. The introduction of credit cards in the 1950s changed everything because it completely disconnected the pain of paying from the pleasure of buying. When you hand over physical cash, a part of your brain called the insula activates. It literally feels a tiny bit of pain. But when you swipe a piece of plastic or tap your phone, that pain center stays completely quiet. This leads directly into the second psychological trap: scarcity mindset. When you feel like you do not have enough, your brain puts on blinders. You stop seeing the big picture. You focus only on the immediate emergency, which makes you terrible at planning for the future. What happened next changed everything for a specific group of researchers studying this exact phenomenon. Economists tracked thousands of people who suddenly came into large sums of money. Lottery winners, inheritances, sudden settlements. The results were stunning. Within 70% of them, they were back to their original financial baseline, or worse. They did not lose the money because of bad investments. They lost it because their internal financial thermostat was still set to struggle. Your brain has a financial comfort zone. If you suddenly jump above it, your subconscious will find ways to bring you back down. It will justify unnecessary expenses. It will trigger impulse purchases. It will make you feel anxious about having too much savings, as if it doesn't belong to you. But this is not a life sentence. You can rewire this system. You just have to stop fighting your brain and start outsmarting it. The first step is to introduce friction. Remember how credit cards remove the pain of paying? You need to put the pain back.
Unsave your credit card information from your browser. Force yourself to physically get up, find your wallet, and type in the numbers for every single purchase. That tiny bit of friction gives your prefrontal cortex, the logical part of your brain, enough time to catch up and ask if you actually need the item. The second strategy is automation. You cannot trust your future self to make good decisions because your future self will be tired, stressed, and driven by present bias. So remove yourself from the equation entirely. Set up your accounts so that a percentage of your income is automatically routed to savings and investments the moment it hits your account. If you do not see the money, your brain will not feel like it is losing anything. You adapt to living on what is left over. This is how you shift your financial thermostat. Slowly, over time, your brain begins to identify its new baseline as wealth, not scarcity. The third step is the most invisible, but arguably the most powerful. You have to change your environment. Willpower is a finite resource. If you are constantly surrounded by cues to spend, you will eventually cave. Unsubscribe from marketing emails. Turn off push notifications from shopping apps. Unfollow influencers whose entire content is designed to make you feel inadequate. Every time you reduce a cue to spend, you are building a tiny barrier that protects your future wealth. When you combine friction, automation, and environmental design, something incredible happens to your psychology. You start to experience the magic of compound interest, not just in your bank account, but in your own identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles with money, and you start seeing yourself as someone who builds wealth. Your brain may be wired to keep you broke, but you have the ability to rewire it. You just have to know which buttons to push. Financial freedom does not start with making more money. It starts with understanding the 3 pounds of tissue sitting right between your ears. If you want to dive deeper into how your psychology controls your money, I highly recommend watching this video next, where we break down the exact steps to build a wealth mindset from scratch. Make sure to like this video if you learned something new today, and subscribe so you never miss a lesson.